Hello, and welcome to this storytelling channel. Today, I bring you a tale full of meaning. The Dog in the Manger, a long and thoughtful version, perfect for a quiet moment. Stay with us until the end to hear the powerful moral. Enjoy the story. The Dog in the Manger. Once upon a time, on a quiet farm tucked between rolling hills, there lived an old dog named Bruno. Bruno wasn't the biggest dog, or the strongest, or even the most helpful. He no longer herded sheep like the border collies, nor guarded the gates like the mastiffs. Instead, Bruno spent most of his days lying in the shade near the barn, growling at anyone who came too close. He had grown old and proud, and had forgotten the joy of sharing and the purpose of community. One hot summer, the farm fell into a time of drought. The fields turned dry, the grass grew thin, and the animals had to rely on what little feed the farmer could provide. The farmer, trying his best, decided that the animals would have to share spaces more than before. In one of the older barns, there stood an unused wooden manger filled with dry hay. It wasn't filled with fresh food anymore, but it offered a cool place to rest, especially during the hottest hours of the day. The animals knew the manger wasn't meant just for one. It was big enough for several to lie around it, to take shade and comfort on hard days. One sweltering afternoon, Bruno wandered into the barn. The heat had become unbearable, and the old dog, panting and cranky, climbed into the hay-filled manger and made himself comfortable. He yawned, stretched, and quickly drifted off into a light nap, the hay soft beneath his fur. Before long, a pair of oxen approached the barn, their heavy hooves stirring dust from the dry ground. They saw the manger and moved toward it, grateful for the shade. But as soon as they neared, Bruno snapped awake. He lifted his head, bared his teeth, and barked fiercely. "Hey, Bruno," said one of the oxen gently. "We just want to rest a little near the manger. There's plenty of room." "Back off," growled Bruno. "This is my place now. Find your own." The oxen blinked, surprised. "But you don't even eat hay," one of them pointed out. Bruno let out another loud bark, refusing to move. The oxen, tired and disappointed, turned away and searched for shade elsewhere. Later that day, a pair of horses came into the barn. Their backs were sweaty from pulling carts all morning. When they saw the manger, they approached it with hope. But again, Bruno snarled, growled, and drove them off. The animals on the farm began to whisper about the dog in the manger. "He doesn't eat hay, but won't let others near it," said the goat. "He doesn't need the whole space," muttered the donkey. "What kind of creature would rather let something go to waste than see it help someone else?" clucked the old hen. Day after day, Bruno stayed in the manger, not using it for anything but his naps, keeping everyone else away. One morning, the farmer came by and noticed the commotion. He stepped into the barn and found Bruno lying in the manger, growling at a young calf that had tried to get close. "Bruno," the farmer said sternly, "this barn isn't just for you. The animals need rest. You can't take a space you don't need and keep others from using it." But Bruno just turned his head and snorted. The farmer sighed and walked away, shaking his head. That night, a violent storm rolled in from the hills. Thunder cracked, and heavy rain poured from the sky. The barn's old roof began to leak, and a stream of water poured right into the manger. Bruno, startled awake by the cold, wet hay, jumped out of the manger, shaking and slipping in the mud. Soaked and shivering, he looked around for shelter. But the animals he had driven away were now gathered in a different barn the farmer had opened for the storm. Inside, oxen, horses, sheep, even chickens huddled together for warmth and protection. Though the space was tight, they shared it willingly. The little calf that Bruno had chased earlier was now curled between two cows, warm and dry. Bruno tried to squeeze in, but there was no room, not because the animals didn't have space, but because Bruno had burned too many bridges. No one trusted him. The next morning, the farmer found Bruno huddled outside, muddy and alone. He gently picked him up and dried him off. "See, Bruno," the farmer said softly, "when you live only for yourself, you end up with no one. That manger you guarded so selfishly did you no good when the storm came. But those who shared were the ones who stayed safe and warm." Bruno lowered his head. He understood. Later that day, as the sun came out again, Bruno returned to the barn. A young mare walked in, looking tired. This time, Bruno didn't growl. He simply shifted to the side, leaving space in the manger. The mare looked at him cautiously. "It's okay," Bruno said softly. "You can rest here." And from that day on, the old dog was different. He still napped in the manger from time to time, but he always made room for others. Sometimes, he even wagged his tail when the calf came by. Bruno had learned a simple but powerful lesson. When you choose to share, you don't lose. You gain the trust and warmth of others. Moral: don't be like the dog in the manger, keeping others from what you don't even need yourself. Selfishness builds walls, but kindness builds community. Sharing not only helps others, it protects and strengthens you too. Thank you for listening to this story. Remember, sharing is a way of caring. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about. See you in the next story.